Welcome back to another episode of Lounge 11 with Femi and Samco, where we love to talk about all things football. Samco, how are you doing this week?
Doing all right. No complaints. It's been a very busy week basically. So can't complain. How about you? How's it going?
Same here, man. I know last weekend was fun from an Arsenal football perspective, but though during the week there were a lot of games, so it was hard to keep up with everything. You know, obviously I was following the results as they were happening. The games I didn't get a chance to see all of them, but I watched the highlights and we have a lot. We
Yeah,
have
I
a
was
lot
able
to
to
do.
go through most of the highlights even yesterday. So
Yeah, yeah. That's like my evening routine.
yeah.
But yeah, this week there's, a lot to touch on, right? We saw last weekend that Arsenal opened up a 4-point lead at the top of the table, and that was driven by results from other teams. Chelsea dropped points, Liverpool dropped points, even City dropped points as well.
Yep.
And I'm actually really surprised that Bournemouth is keeping pace at the top, right? All credit to them. But I think a good place to start this week would be Chelsea. You call them pump fake FC. And we've seen another one of their ones, right? They lost at home to Sunderland last weekend. I
Yeah.
know going into that game last week, you had predicted that Sunderland was going to get something out of it. So your ball knowledge is still up there. I was expecting that Chelsea would win at home, given that they were playing at Stamford Bridge. It was anything but that. I think Sunderland ended up getting full 3 points. What were your thoughts on that game?
When I said I expected Sunderland to get something from that game, I was leaning towards more of a draw. Of course, anything is possible, but I've been fortunate to see a few Sunderland games this season. And up until they even played Manchester United at Old Trafford, I have been very impressed because they brought in a lot of players, but I didn't expect them to be able to, or the manager to be able to put things together and let them just be a little bit balanced. So, and Chelsea be the inconsistent team that they are, of which a lot of their games I've seen them very shaky, especially at Stamford Bridge. So I thought there was a possibility Sunderland could get a draw in that game. But when I actually did watch the game, and there were no surprises to me. When you even look at how they considered the last goal to Sunderland, it was like everybody was just up top, right? And sometimes when I watch these games, I'm like, on one hand, some teams who know how to defend or keep a lead are being criticized for the way they play and stuff like that. And then you see a team like Chelsea where the narrative of people want to make you believe that winning a game is all about all attack. All attack was literally what made Chelsea lose that game, right? And their inconsistencies, I think, is going to keep being a problem for them. Like I've said, I've not been the one to trust their defense, their goalkeeper, and their attack. I think the midfield is where they are very solid. But even in that game, their midfield actually wasn't the best. I know the likes of Enzo and Caicedo didn't really have a great game, especially in the second half. So I think Sunderland has to be given a lot of credit, especially when you look at the last few years. A lot of teams who've come down from the Championship into the Premiership, they've not really had good fortunes in the Premier League. But this year seems to be a little bit different. Yes, some of the teams who have been regulars in the Premier League are already dropping in form or in quality and how they play. But you definitely have to give them credit. Coming out from the Premiership, yes, they're not going to sustain what they've been doing because deep into the season, everyone starts getting much settled in how they play. But you can see, to be honest, even after that game, I didn't even know they were that high off in the table up until the very next day, which was Sunday. And I think you were the one that even
They're
pointed it out
fourth,
to
yeah.
me.
They're
Yeah.
fourth
And I
right
was like,
now.
wow, I knew they were doing good. I didn't even know it was that good. I
They're
think the
5 points
players,
off the top of the table.
yeah, the players, especially the manager, the club, I think they deserve an outstanding credit in what they are doing so far because a lot of the points that they have accumulated so far are most likely the points that are going to keep them safe into next season, right? Usually most teams are coming to the Premiership are looking towards like 40, 45 points to be safe. And if you're saying they are 5 points, I'm guessing they're around 17 already
17,
or
yeah.
15. If they're 17, you're already looking at another, what,
23
23
points or
points
something.
to make
Yeah, to get to
40.
40. Yeah.
So they're definitely going in the right direction. But for Chelsea, I'm afraid this is what we're going to see for most of the season. Yes, they have some injuries, rightfully so, but I just think their team is like, I don't know, Chelsea is just a confusing team. Their inconsistency is, it's crazy because when you look at the money they've spent and everything, they've outspent literally everybody in the Premier League, like every single team in the Premier League. And for a team that has had so much investment and all that, some people say, oh, the team is still in transition and all. I'm like, yo, look around in that team. There is a lot of guys who are already settled in this Premier League. The Caicedos, the Enzos, the Reece James, even their goalkeeper Sanchez has been in the Premier League for a very, very long time. But still, they're finding this much difficulty and all that. So it's crazy because at the same time, you look at them and you see they have no expectations. People don't call them out for what they should be doing. I'm not the one that's going to come out and say they should win the league, but they should be there and about. We can't keep saying Chelsea should just be around for like the top four fights, right? So we'll see how they go, but nothing surprising so far.
I have a follow-up question because when you were speaking just now, you said you don't trust the attack, defense, and the goalkeeping situation. That's the entire team. Do you trust the manager?
Maresca has shown signs of a good manager, right? I think he's shown signs of a good manager. How far can he go with it is what I don't know. Because I also think their players are not really of the quality that maybe a lot of Chelsea fans would think that they have. So, which is crazy again, because you equate it to how much they've spent. It's like you can't spend over 2 billion and you're looking at that squad and you're coming out with your left options as Gittins and Garnacho. Your right is the likes of Pedro Neto. Yes, a few of them are like nice players. And then the players, even this top four with those players, can you say it's set on stone that Chelsea will finish top four? No, it's still going to be a battle for them. So do I trust Maresca? It's hard to say I trust Maresca, but I can say he's shown signs of that he knows what he's doing or he can get the job done. I think sometimes the quality of that squad is what actually does let him.
You talked about the quality of the squad. And one of the things that has come up with Chelsea is the disciplinary record, right? So just kind of switching gears. I don't know if they got a red card in that game, but I know they got a red card in the subsequent game, which was the Carabao Cup
Sunderland game. They didn't, yeah.
Yeah, they got a red card in the Carabao Cup game against who they play again? Wolves. Yeah. Before we even talk about the performance, like, do you think they have a disciplinary record? Because that's another. Is it what five red cards?
5 or 6? Of course they do. It reminds me exactly of Arsenal last season. The beginning of last season, this is exactly what we're doing. And if you think back to what we did last season, I think we had 14 draws in the league. 6 of those games we had a red card. So it tells you how your disciplinary record can really affect your momentum or how you fare in the league. So they definitely do have a disciplinary issue. And when you look at the red card that Delap had against Wolves, it was just crazy. You just came off the bench, you're collecting 2 yellow cards, right? You just came back from injury.
13 minutes or something crazy like that.
And your next game is against Spurs. Pedro hasn't really been the best so far. There's an opportunity for you to come and try to tie that position to yourself. But you're out there, like you're not playing for Ipswich anymore. The decisions you make affects your team drastically. So they definitely do have a disciplinary issue, and Maresca is definitely going to have to be the one to put that in check.
I'm not really sure what the expectations are. I know we have talked about it here that there should be more expectations for Chelsea, but within the Chelsea camp, it looks like they are more open or happy with a top 4 finish.
Yeah.
We've just talked about them. They're in 9th right now I think they're 9th after 9 games, 8 points off the top. You've just talked about you not trusting basically the entire team and all these disciplinary issues. How do you think a lot of those things come back to impact whatever those objectives are, be it top 4 or winning any of the domestic titles?
Yeah, it will. Like we said, we just talked about the disciplinary part of it. It's definitely going to affect them. They should not realize that you're playing in the Champions League this season. This is not the Conference League. You're going to be playing the top dogs in Europe. So if you keep having these disciplinary issues, you don't you cut yourself short in having a chance in winning these games, be it points or progressing to the next round, in whichever competition you find yourself. So they're definitely going to have to buckle up and figure it out as quickly as possible, because at the beginning of the season, yes, it's not the squeaky bomb time as we see in every season. But I always say at the beginning of the season, this is where you get your prerequisite points and stuff like that. So whatever you do today still affects you tomorrow, but you also want to set yourself in a good position to push forward and stuff like that. So they really do have a problem in terms of their expectation. I don't know when that is going to change. Some of them try to say the players or the squad is very young, the manager is new. I can understand the part of the manager, but like I said, when you look into that squad, Pedro Neto has been in the league for over how many years? 4 or 5 years. João Pedro has been in the league for a while. Enzo has been in this league for at least 2-3 years. Caicedo, same thing. Reece James, Cucurella, Tosin, Colwill, their goalkeeper. So a lot of these guys are Premier League proven players like most people talk about. So I think a little bit of those excuses have to be pushed to the side. If you're good enough, you're good enough. It's not really about the age anymore. So, yeah.
Fair enough. I think we can leave it there for Chelsea because I don't have much to contribute to them right now, at least. I think when we get into the game over the weekend, we can maybe talk a little bit more about Chelsea.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to one of the other teams that both of us have as title contenders, Manchester City. They did lose that game at Aston Villa. Again, I think that's one that you had said that they were going to have issues with. I don't think they've won at Villa Park now for, is it 2 or 3 seasons? Looks like the
Really?
third season of the bounce. Yeah, they lost last season for sure.
I didn't
So
even know
they've
that.
definitely had problems there, and there was a blank from them. So 1-0 loss to City at Villa Park pushed them to, what is it? Where are they sitting on the table now? I think they're now
I have no
in
idea. I've not really
fifth
looked
position.
at that table. Fifth. Okay.
Yeah, they're fifth. Yeah.
Oh, City,
so
right?
Yeah, City. They're 6
Okay.
points off the top. And yeah, so maybe we talk about that result, how big that result was, or how impactful that result could have been for them in their title race. And also, they talk about Haaland being the single contributor to their goals, and he didn't score in this game, so they were unable to score. So
Yeah.
is that a correlation, or is that just causation from their standpoint?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a correlation, because I've always been of the opinion, like, I don't know, I think I've mentioned this to you before. I love having moment players in my team, right? But I don't want to be a team that is very dependent on moment players, because for situations when those moment players don't show, you need the other supporting characters to come out and do the job for you, right? We know how Haaland is a fantastic player. And I think I saw the stats as well that they haven't, I think he's the one that has scored the most goal, and the next person was like 1. I mean, it's a weapon that they have. So I'm not against them depending on it. When you have a player like Haaland, there's a reason why he's one, if not the best striker in the world. So definitely you are going to depend, or they are going to depend on having a player like Haaland. But I think there's more to it than it's just being Haaland, right? They've also had a few injuries as well. But we also need to be truthful and look at it. Villa Park is a very tough place to go to. Aston Villa is also a very good team. They have some very quality players as well, right? Man City have changed the way they play. I feel this season they're a little bit more direct than they usually are. So I still see them having those adjustments. But the thing about them is they have 2 weapons that I think a lot of teams, actually no team has in the Premier League. They have Pep Guardiola and they have Haaland. So as much as they're able to make use of those 2 strengths that they have, I think they're going to be fine. Do I still see them in the title race 1,000%? I said it from before the ball was kicked this season that City are going to be in the title race. And the main reason for me was because they had a manager like Pep Guardiola. So again, beginning of the season, it's too early to say one is in it and one is out of it. So in terms of City, I know they're still going to be thereabouts. Yeah. But it was a tough game for them, no doubt.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that, obviously no team wins 38 in the season. That was always going to be a tough game for any team. I'm sure Arsenal is going to have a hard time there. Liverpool, all the big teams are going to, if Villa show up on their day, they can make things very difficult for
anybody.
So, I don't think that tells me too much about City's title title challenges or
Yeah.
challenging, or for the season. You did talk about injuries, and I watched the highlights against Swansea, and I did see that they had a
Players
few
are
players
coming
back.
back. Yeah.
Turkey is back. I think he got a goal and
Mm-hmm.
maybe an assist or two. I can't
Mamush is
remember now.
back. Yeah, he got a goal and an
Mamush is back.
assist. Mamush is back.
Ignore is back.
Ignore is back.
That's
He
a strong
brought.
team.
Yeah, they
That's
have
a
a
strong
good.
team.
Like I said, they have a good team. The only difference that people just need to realize is the same with quality they have now is not the quality we know Man City to be in the last few years, right? There's a difference in quality. But do they have a good team? They have a good team. There's no doubt. And having these players back from injury also helps as well. So
I've heard people say that, right? Pundits and a bunch of fans and stuff have mentioned that. Like when you say they don't have the quality that they have, that's obviously KDB in my mind is one of the all-time greats in Premier League history. You lose a player like that, you don't get a player like that back every day. But if you take away the KDBs from the 3 or 4, they won 4 in a row, right? Who is the player that is missing that you would say it's not at the quality that they have today?
because I just try to look at them at their best. Within that 4 seasons they won, they had the types of Sterling,
And
Aguero.
now they have Marmoush and Doku. I'm not gonna say that the level of Sterling, but,
Exactly. So that's the point,
yeah.
right? Like there's a difference in quality, right? But then again, I feel they are with the right manager who can get them to that point.
I think that's my point that I'm trying to get to. It looks like a lot of those players, I don't remember any one of them that came in as a world beater.
As a world-class player, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them, like Sterling, Sterling had a good season or a few good seasons at Liverpool, but nobody was going to look back on history and say Sterling was this,
Was a world beater at that time.
world-class
Yeah.
player, right? And so I see similar things when I look at Marmoush and to a smaller extent Doku, right? Maybe the one guy I'll say is what's the Algerian guy's name now? Yeah, from Leicester.
Mahrez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mahrez was quality, I think, when he joined, but they
I
still
even
have
forgot him.
Foden.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like where the drop off of quality is, because I've
No,
heard
I
people
think
say that.
I think the comparison is when those guys were at their highs and compared to these
Right,
guys who are trying to get into their own high.
got it. Yeah,
Right? Yeah. So it's not like a level playing field for both. It's not like both sides are on their high and you're saying this one is, I think just where they are now. But they're, like I said, they're under the best manager who would definitely develop these players. And it's one of the reasons why I believed that they would be in the title race because they do have quality players. They really do.
I think so.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
written them off. I'm not
Yeah.
going to write them off, even though they're 6 points behind right now. I think
like look at their goalkeeper. They're talking about
Donnarumma, yeah.
Centre back pairing of Diaz and Vadio. You have the O'Reilly kid now playing on the left. He's moved Nunes to right back. And Norris back. Midfield, he has his Tijani, he has his Nico. I'm hearing Rodri is also back, so I'm sure in the next few weeks they will incorporate him back. Cherki is an unbelievable player. And I think we're still yet to see the best of that kid. So they do have quality players and they are going to be there and about for sure. Yeah.
All right. I think we'll move on because for City, there's nothing to really talk about. They also progressed to the next round of Carabao. Maybe we could talk about that actually. What did you make of the draws that we got for the Carabao? I think Chelsea made it through, City made it through. In terms of Premier League teams, Newcastle made it through.
Newcastle, Crystal Palace.
City. No.
I think it was
Crystal
Fulham.
Palace. It's a strong round. It's a
very strong round. One of the things I wanted for Arsenal was I wanted us to be at home. So I'm glad we got a home draw.
Right.
And if there was anybody I was going to pick out from that hat, was definitely going to have been Cardiff. That's a team I definitely would have wanted to play. But I think we still got a good. I'm keeping it a buck, man. When people come out and say, "Oh, I want the hardest team," I don't care about the hardest team. It's a cup competition. It's a cup competition. Give me the smallest team to play, so I get to the next
Yeah,
round. That's what I want. So definitely
right.
Cardiff was my preference, but I think we still got a good draw with Crystal Palace at the end of the day. Just for the fact that it's at the Emirates, I'm pretty okay with it. Who did Man City get? I can't remember.
What did Man City get? I
But I
actually
know
don't
Chelsea
remember.
play. I think Chelsea play Cardiff. I think Newcastle is playing Fulham.
Let me look it up real quick. Man City's playing Brentford
Oh,
at home. City's
Man
playing
City is at
Brentford
home.
at home. Man
Okay.
City's at home. It's a
Yeah,
very
so
strong
it's going to
quarterfinal.
be a
Like
strong. Yeah, it's a strong
it's
quarterfinal for
actually,
sure.
other than Cardiff, it's an all Premier League
It's an all Premier League.
draw.
Yeah, yeah. It's
City
an all
plays
Premier League.
Brentford, Arsenal play Crystal Palace, Chelsea play Cardiff, and then Newcastle play Fulham. That's a
Yeah.
very,
What did you
very
think about
strong.
the draw to Palace?
I didn't want Palace actually, because Palace have become one of those teams that they can be really stressful.
Hmm.
They can frustrate you, and they're very well managed by Glasner. I actually really respect Glasner a lot for what he's been able to do with that team. They've lost player after player, and I actually thought they will be
Yeah, a
done after the
difficult team to
season.
break down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
difficult team. Yeah.
yeah, I think, with cup games, especially being a knockout game, it's a one-leg game. You have to be at your absolute peak, and that game is coming right in. I think right now it's scheduled for December
Yeah, it's a
18th or whatever it
crazy
is.
scheduling. I think
December
they're thinking of
16th.
16th, yeah. And it's very crazy for them because if they keep it at the 16th, they are going to have 4 games in 1 week,
They better keep it at the
which is
16th then.
which is ridiculous. Yeah, because it's going to be because I know they have 2 Premier League games, the Carling Cup game, and they have
the
Conference League.
the Conference League, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think could play in Arsenal's favor. I mean, obviously, I think we have the better team. If players come back, we will have much stronger depth to pick from. And I'm sure we'll get into Carabao for Arsenal shortly. But let's move on. Speaking of Crystal Palace, they play Liverpool, so we'll just kind of dive into the Liverpool section. They played 2 games last time, or at least since the time we're here. They played Brentford and they played Crystal Palace. Going into the Brentford game, you had said that you expect some difficulty for them. I think they got a lot more than difficult in that game, right? Because Brentford, I don't think there's any doubts that Brentford were the better team. Outplayed them at the best chances of the game, I think. What do we make of this Liverpool story? Like at this point, it's not even fun anymore
Yeah.
to banter, right? It's actually quite concerning as the
Right
defending
now,
champions.
you can't place a finger on it and say this is what's likely their problem is. Because from the beginning of the season, let's forget the results now. From the beginning of the season, their performances has literally been the same. They are not having good performances. They've won a few games. I think the only good performance they might have had might be Frankfurt, maybe. Right? So I really can't place a hand to it to say this is what has
This is
helped
what's
them.
going on. Yeah.
This is what is going on and all that. And I knew Brentford was going to be a difficult game. Going to Brentford's home is very difficult, especially for the big teams, right? And now you have a manager who at Brentford, you see that set pieces that Slot always complains about. It's a weapon for him. You remember last week I spoke about they should be careful about those long throws. Liverpool considered the first goal with a long throw. So I wasn't surprised or anything, but I want to bring it to when they played Palace this week. I was very disappointed in Slot because I felt for a team that was going through a bad spell, I think it was very unfair for him to put out that score that he did. He literally put out the young kids to hang and dry. And I felt that was very, very wrong from him to do. I think he should have had a few of the senior players on the bench who could come off or try to help or do something. And it was, from a manager that is finding himself coaching one of the best clubs in the world at the top tier of football, I don't think is something he should have done. So I think he threw those kids to dry because how does that help their morale? Right? How does that help their morale when they look at that result and they say, we lost this game and it was on us? I'll give credit to the Liverpool fans at this because I watched the game, and I think the fans at the stadium, they definitely gave those guys like a good standing ovation and stuff, because you can't put that on the players. You can't put that on the players. You can't bring You've been losing games back to back to back, and then you bring this game to Anfield before the next three games in which you have a much more difficult schedule. I thought this game would have won. You would have tried to use to get some momentum back and just try and get yourself back on track. So I think he's definitely going to have to hold his stake for that game against Palace during the midweek, because now you found yourself in a less stronger position. Your morale is definitely down now. And some episode I said they've started losing some games back to backs, but most of those games have been away. When you start letting these losses creep into Anfield, you are in a much difficult position. And if you look at it, their last two games at Anfield was Manchester United and Crystal Palace, and you've lost those games. Your next two games is Real Madrid and Aston Villa. You better pull out a win in both results, because your next three games, there's nothing easy. Once you now make opposition teams start getting comfortable, even at your own home, long story. Long story. So yeah, that was my view from the weekend to the midweek.
Yeah, I think with the Anfield discussion, I think we shared that. I actually mentioned that just before when we had Kamsi and Duya on here. I said, you want to be respectful to Anfield for everything that it represents, but I think the way they play now allows teams to feel comfortable and confident coming into Anfield. And you're seeing that teams are never scared anymore. It's like, we know what your weaknesses are, we know what your vulnerabilities are. We're just going to sit here and wait for our chances, and we'll get one or two or maybe even more. And then we're going to put it away and give you a game. And that's what you've seen. I think what I found concerning is the comments that the manager keeps making. A few weeks or a few episodes ago, I talked about how it was naive for him to come out and say, the difference between it, because after Frankfurt, they came out to say that the difference in that game was they didn't play low block and long balls, and that the previous games they played plenty of low blocks and long balls. And I said it was naive because you've literally just come out to the rest of the world, the rest of the league, to say, this is where we find things to be really difficult. And guess what? The Brentford game, like you mentioned, they got undone by the first goal with long throw. But what's even more interesting is, I don't know if you saw the stats, Brentford had the most long balls that they've played this season against Liverpool.
Really?
The most long balls that they played this season so far was against Liverpool. So it kind of tells its own story, right? I said it's naive for you to come out and make those kind of statements, and then you are seeing it play out in front of you. Teams are putting more and more long throws in against you. They know that set pieces make you vulnerable. They know that long balls make you vulnerable. And Brentford, who is a team who are mid-table or whatever they are right now, felt comfortable. They're like, we're just going to throw the balls in, try and win those balls and create havoc. And that's what you saw. The Palace game, more comments again that I'm just like, is this guy, I think now it's really like there's something really going on.
Pressure, bro.
He came out to say that, one, they don't have the squad, because they're asking why they made the changes, like those that many changes. I couldn't understand that. Like, I'm like, do you realize you're the defending champions, which means your squad was good enough last season? Now you have spent a record amount of money, almost £500 million, to strengthen a defending champion like team. And you're coming out in the fourth round or whatever it is of the Carabao Cup game to make 10 changes. And you put a bunch of kids on, no first team players, and you're saying that the squad isn't as big as people expect it to be. What were your thoughts on that?
Man, it's spiraling. It's pressure.
In front of us, man.
Yeah, it's pressure. Again, I know they have a few injuries as well, but this is just pressure because you didn't complain about your squad size at the beginning of the season, right? You spent so much money, and this money you spent is, mind you, there are a lot of Premier League clubs that are not worth almost £500 million. There are a lot of Premier League clubs that are not even worth half of that, right? So he's going to have to figure it out. I'm sorry, I don't have much to say when it comes to slots anymore, because I just look at it now as the pressure is just way too much for him. And the more he speaks, is like he doesn't know exactly what he's talking about. He's just going from left to right, right to front, front to back. And yeah, it's just.
I was just reading a comment that, so I saw it on X. Someone said, and I haven't fact checked this, so I want to be careful.
Yeah.
I won't put that. Someone said, in spite of the team that it put out against Palace, that starting lineup was still £20 million more expensive than Palace's team.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't actually have any sympathy for the guy when he talks specifically about not having a strong squad or a deep enough squad. You spent £300 million on 3 players in attacking positions, right? In Isak, Kovacic, and Ekitike. And this is a defending champion. Let's not forget about that, right? Which means your team was good enough to win the previous season. If that team was good enough to win and you spend almost £500 million strengthening it, then you shouldn't really be having this conversation about squad depth. And then he came out to say that, I couldn't even make out what he was trying to get at. But the point about, Chelsea can bring out Estaval, and he looked at Manchester City's lineup and he couldn't see any starter from the previous game. I'm like, bro, you're the defending champion. What is this thing you're trying to do with other teams? Like, did you see those comments about the Chelsea and City?
Yeah, I saw the one he talked about. What I didn't even understand was like, so what happened? Was it after you lost the game
that
you
went
picked
back
up
to
your phone to check what their starting 11 was, or did it happen at half? So that's why I said he's moving left, he's moving right. He's just all over the place right now. And brother, you have to focus on what is in front of you, because he's in such a situation right now that, again, this league is very unforgiving. I do not expect Liverpool to sack him, because I want to believe you've bought a little bit of credit by winning the league. But he also needs to understand that the fans have no attachment to slot, right? It's just the way fans are built. You came in, you won a league, right? They have more of an attachment to the likes of club for a reason. When you look at the likes of Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, majority of their fan bases have an attachment to those managers for specific reasons. Klopp came in, destroyed everything, built everything back up to where they were able to start winning, right? So it looks like a journey that was done between the fans and the manager. Same thing with Pep, same thing is going on with Mikel right now. He doesn't have that advantage. These guys have no attachment to him. So sooner rather than later, if these results come on, you're going to start having your own home fans singing for you to be sacked. And once it gets to that point, the decision makers have been pushed into a corner with their back up against the wall. So he's going to have to figure out, and he needs to figure it out as quickly and as soon as possible.
I think there is some real risk there. I still think they will compete for the title just because they are champions and those players are still there. But I've seen a lot of people say it's almost impossible that he gets fired. But I think given the financial outlay that they've made this summer, record numbers, almost £500 million has been spent on strengthening that squad. And you find yourself in a situation now where you're completely, looks like, outside of the Champions League positions as of today. That can change. But if you have one of those freak seasons, right? We saw Man City last year basically left it down to, was it the last 2 or 3 games?
Last day.
Last game, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get
Last
into
game.
the Champions League.
Yeah.
That can be very, very impactful on the future of the team.
Yeah.
Because the financial considerations are really, really big, from a sustainability standpoint, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be big pressure coming up if they're not there already. because the next 2 games are against Villa this weekend, which we'll talk about shortly, and City. If you lose 2 of those games, and even look at the Champions League, I think
Exactly.
they're out of the top
That's
8.
what I was about to bring up. They're definitely out of the top 8. They've lost Galatasaray. If you don't win against Real Madrid, you're
They're
in a
looking at a
very
very
bad
dicey
position
situation.
now. Yeah, where you're going to have to get 2 extra games
2 extra games
in
yes.
January, I think. Yeah, January, where you're having the FA Cups, the Premier Leagues, and stuff like that. So it's
I think it's dicey for them. I think they're
definitely
going to need
dicey.
to figure something out really quickly. And to the fans who think that there is no crisis yet,
No,
I
there's
think
crisis now.
okay.
There's crisis
Well,
now.
that's
You
my
don't
thing,
lose.
right? If there was no crisis in game or 2, like it's just 1 additional loss. So there's no crisis
There's
after 5
crisis.
losses. Why is there a crisis after 6 losses?
There's crisis because now you're not looking at it. I think if you just look at it, like you're not just looking at Liverpool right now anymore. You're looking at the current champions. There's definitely crisis. You don't go out and lose 4 games in a bounce, right?
That's crazy.
I went on to look at, I think I went up until the last, actually no, since the Premier League started or whatever they call it. That's back to like, I think 1992.
92, 93?
Yeah. So I went back. I know for sure the last 10, 11 years, I paid attention to more of because those are the most current ones with the way the game has changed. And the average number of games that whoever won the championship that season was between 3 to 6. 3 to 6, 4 to 6, 3 to 5, and stuff like that. So if you found yourself in that position already, you need to also consider the fact that those losses came at different points in time. Right? But now Liverpool have found themselves in a situation where you've lost 4 games back to back to back. So this was not even spread out. This automatically tells you now that you need a perfect season. We already know there's no perfect season from any point in time, right? So now if you need a perfect season, you still need to remember that they still have to go to the Emirates. They still have to go to Old Trafford. I think they still have to go to Spurs. They still have to go to Everton. And they still have 1 or 2 games that you just don't know where that result comes out from. And it just happens. So when you look at all those situations, you have to get yourself out of these because now you're in a place now where you need a perfect season to contend, not to contend, to be in that title race to the end of the season. We're not even talking about winning it now. Just to be in that title race, you need as good as a perfect season. So he definitely needs to figure it out because any more losses, that's 5 in the league back to back. Not good. Not good. Not good. And there's so many narratives out there already that he's going to, because people have always, especially last season, people said, the likes of Man City, the likes of Arsenal had their injuries. Some people will say they dropped off and everything, and said the 2 times they have won the league, there hasn't been competition. They were the best teams in the league in those 2 seasons, right? This is the first season Liverpool is going into a season with an expectation to. The last 2 times they won the Premier League, nobody had them as favorites or thought they were going to win the league. They knew they were there up against.
Oh, you mean going into the season?
Going into the
after
season.
Okay,
no, not after the season, yeah. They knew they were there, especially with the times of Man City against Man City, because it was 2 of them that always going head in head. Last season, most people had them at 3rd, because it was still most likely Arsenal and Man City. So this is the first season where they are actually going in as champion, but not just that, with the expectation of going to win it. Because even when they won it in 1920, following season, a lot of people still had City as a favorite to win it. So now this season, you're going in as champion. You're going in with the expectation to win it as favorite, but you also spent not just close to £500 million. You bought, we're talking about the cream de la cream of players. So if that team was already good enough to win the championship, and you've brought in this caliber of players, nothing less is expected from you. So that's where they find this. So that's why I say the pressure is going to be very different for him throughout this season. And he's letting it slip quite early, which I didn't expect from him.
Yeah,
and
that's really concerning.
Yeah, people who are looking for him to be sacked, I don't want him to be sacked. I want him to figure it out. Because this is where you earn your coins, right? people have called you the best manager for obvious reasons. You won the league. It's time for you to figure it out. The honeymoon period is over. So
Yep. Most people don't even get a championship honeymoon. So
exactly, yeah.
yeah. All right, let's draw the line there at Liverpool. Let's go to Arsenal. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, Arsenal we've now opened up a 4-point lead. Bournemouth is keeping it close. The teams that you'd expect would be closer. I think Liverpool is 6 points off. No, City is 6 points off. Liverpool is 7 points off. Still too early, but the Crystal Palace game was an interesting one because I think we lost to Crystal Palace last season. Is that
No,
correct?
we drew at
We drew.
Emirates.
Right.
I
So,
think we
and
beat them
obviously,
at their house, but we drew for sure 2-2.
considering the form that they've come in, it was always going to be a tricky one. And it's actually a very cagey game in my
Very
perspective.
cagey. Yeah.
Eze got his first goal. It almost like it was written that he was waiting for his first Premier League goal for Arsenal at home to Crystal Palace. You can see what it meant to him. But walk me through your thoughts on that game.
Like you said, it was a very, very cagey game. When watching that game and watched it back, I didn't see anything different. Glasner's team, I think, are also one of the few teams in the Premier League that are able to accommodate any opposition team that they play. They are able to make adjustments, and whichever way you want to play, they are able to. Like literally everything we tried to do, you could just see how they adjusted to anything we tried to do. So it was an extremely tight game. Then Fulham gave us a difficult game and everything. Fortunately for us, one of the few, if not, I can't even remember much opportunities in that game. That is how tight they kept their space. Even to put in a through ball was difficult for us to do. But we're able to, Eze had a moment and he took it, right? Remember when we signed Eze and I said, these are the kind of games that I can see him helping us out with, right? Because he has that quality to
Yep.
change a game for us. And gladly he did. I think he actually had a good game. When I watched it back again, I think he actually had a good game. His problems are continuously going to be his high press is not what we're used to with the likes of Odegaard when they're around. But I think it was a very, very difficult game. And I give credit again to the players because I keep talking about the maturity that I've noticed with this team. We don't panic like we used to. Even when we're drawing, we're looking for a win. I've seen it against Fulham. I've seen it against Newcastle. There's just a certain maturity that we have, and we're unable to just lose our minds because we're trying to get a point or get a win and everything. So I think that has really helped us much this season, and long may it continue. I think we have to give them credit for it. This is a tough league to win, and we're going to see it on a weekly basis.
I personally don't think Eze had a good game, actually. Well,
Yeah.
let me put it this way. I don't think he had a bad game, but the position that he plays for this team, we can't really afford neutrality, and that's kind of as best as I would describe it right now.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he was there when it was needed the most to put away that chance. I think when you're playing a team that is as structured as we've seen Crystal Palace show up and even follow up the week before, what you really want is your most creative player causing some chaos to kind of throw them off balance. And I struggle to see that at times. There were times where well, even in the Brighton game, which I'm sure we'll talk about that, there were times where I actually forgot that it was on the pitch. With a player like Izzy, I don't think you can afford that. You want him on the ball often enough, trying to make things happen. But it's also credit to the way Crystal Palace set up. But I think it's just something to pay attention to. I know I've texted you before. I'm like, this guy doesn't press for nothing. Anything pressing, that's not his business. Anything defensive, he tries to keep the shape. I think there's a lot of positional plays. That's what I'm trying to adhere to. That part he tries to do well, but you can see that there's a big difference in how he tries to press the spaces. But I think the big takeaway for me were a couple of things. Glasner is one hell of a coach. We scored in the 39th minute. And you would think that opens up the game, right? Typically when Arsenal scores and you are now having to get some of that game, it would generally open up the game. In this case, they kept their shape. They still didn't jump on too many things. They still, even up until like 10 minutes before the end of the game, they were
Yeah.
still very disciplined. It's almost like they were willing to see it out and not get caught open. So that's one thing I learned about Palace. The second thing I learned more about Mikel and Arsenal is we are not playing football anymore. Actually, to me, it seems like we're not playing a totally different sport. We're playing like chess on the field,
Yeah.
right? We are happy to be methodical for as long as it takes to break you down, right? Like this team is not going to get into spin cycle kind of games. They're not going to get into, transition kind of games where you go, I go. Like we are extremely patient and we know that we have the tools, with set pieces, with creative players across the front lines. I think I might have texted that to you actually during the game. Like, man, this guy is not going to give anything whatsoever. Did you see the one shot that got counted as a goal, as a shot on
Yeah.
target, right?
The one from was it
Nketiah.
Inketia? Yeah, I
Nketiah.
saw it. And that's why I said, like, you just literally highlighted the same thing I was saying when I say I see the maturity in the team now. There's no rush. They just do things, take it, move the ball into places that they know works for them and see. And again, that was the credit that I gave to Crystal Palace. They were well structured. They were not going to give us anything. But the reason why I feel that even after we scored the game wasn't open was because you don't want to play an open game with Arsenal. That's the one thing I'll guarantee anybody this season. Go look at every team that have tried to play an open game with Arsenal and see what happened to them. You don't want to do that. So, especially at the beginning of the season where a lot of the results are not as I like that.
Impactful.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I can see why teams will go 1-0 down and they will still not open up against Arsenal. I'm guessing if this was towards the end of the season when people are fighting for European places
Makes sense. Yeah.
already. So I think the games might be a little bit more open. But if you're going to play an open game up against Arsenal, I'll say good luck to you because it's not going to come out. It's not going to come out well for you. That's the one thing I'll guarantee you this season. Look at this game. I don't even think Eucharist had a chance in this
Zero.
game.
I don't
Zero
remember any.
chances. Yeah. Like literally
In fact,
zero chances.
I remember the goal because the goal plays back in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember any other
There was
clear
there was no clear chance in that game. And this was at the Emirates. There was no clear chance. That's how structured they were. Yeah.
The next game the Arsenal played was the Brighton game. For me, I thought that was going to be trickier just because we just spent the segment about Liverpool talking about managing games.
Yeah.
So I expected plenty of changes and we did get 10 changes.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure where those names were going to come from because we also have players injured. We saw the debut for Harrison. Is it Anus or how do you say his name?
Harriman.
Harriman, right?
Yeah.
Then Download got his first start in an Arsenal shirts, I guess in a competitive game as well. So I wasn't really sure where I expected changes. I just wasn't sure what those changes were going to look like and those changes were going to come together. So the first half, I think, played out to be disjointed as I would expect.
Yeah.
And then the second half maybe felt a
We
little
got
bit more
better.
familiar. All in all, 2-0 win to Arsenal. Still no goals conceded. So your thoughts on that Carabao performance?
I think that game is a good example of when I said when you try to play an open game with Arsenal, you're definitely going to be the one that's going to suffer for it. First half, Brighton were definitely the much better team. They came at us. I think Kepa was really good in the first half. In the second half, I think that first half also made them feel like there's an opportunity for them in this game.
Yeah.
And literally, game was done. Again, like I say, you open up against this Arsenal team, we have the weapons to literally destroy you. In terms of the two guys I didn't expect were going to start was Doman and Harriman, or who played up top. I was really happy for him, by the way. For him, when I saw his name on the street, I was like, okay, I need to watch this game because he's one of the guys I've also seen among the academy players. And I feel he's one of those players. I wouldn't say he's the one to really catch your attention, but every time I've watched him, I've liked what I've seen for a striker, right? And I think he still has a long way to go. He still has a lot to learn. But for Mikel to give him that trust to play him, he's been training with us as well since the beginning of the season. He went on pre-season with us. I was very much happy with him. But in terms of the defense, the midfield, I pretty much knew that was what was going to happen. With Martinelli not fit, then I could see the likes of Dorman coming in. So when when you have that much of a change, it also showed you the amount, like the quality in squad depth that we had as well. Because people have spoken about the injuries we have this season. Like people had literally haven't spoken about the injuries we have this season. And even with those injuries, we were able to make 10 changes from the people that played against Palace at the weekend. So again, trust that Mikel has in the squad. I'll give him credit for that because that's one of the things I've criticized him for not having trust in the squad or some of his players. So it was well deserved. I think the second half we were a much better team. I think Nogard looked much better, more comfortable. And mind you also need to realize that these guys, that was literally the first time they all played together, literally. And you could tell in the first half, like you say, it was disjointed. Our passes were not as crisp as they usually would be. People trying to find their footing. Hincapié, this was literally like his first full start and stuff like that. So it was in the second half, we were much better, we were much balanced. Again, I saw the sign of that maturity, no rush, just playing our game. Brighton opened up, we took the opportunity, and then boom, first goal. They tried to come out again, we got the second goal, and then we just managed the game to the end of the season. So again, another good performance I will give to them. Nothing to complain about. Is a cup game. Cup game, I don't really look at performances. I'm just looking to go to the next round. So yeah.
So the picture that leaves Arsenal with is 6 games that were played in the month of October. All wins, no goals conceded. Now you're hearing all sorts of takes. You're hearing people say it's Arsenal's to lose this season.
Yeah.
Arsenal are favorites to win the Champions League or the Premier League. But that's an incredible feat in itself. Like to be able to go a month, giving it 6 games in 1 month is actually crazy. There's
Yeah.
only 4 weeks in the month.
It's also,
And you won all 6 and considered nothing. Thoughts on that accomplishment?
again, you got to give credit to the coaching staff because this tells you that Arsenal is a well-coached team, right? The narratives of Arsenal is a team that sit back, Mikel is a defensive coach, that's all crap. I think we also have to give credit to the likes of Gabriel Haynes, who's coming to the coaching staff because I've heard and I've read about how much he's taken the defensive side of the coaching in terms of the team and how he makes them like he teaches them what it is to defend, right? We're a very well coached team. It's not, we were just talking about breaking down Crystal Palace and Fulham, their structure. You have to look at it the same way. Are you going to come out and say that Fulham is a defensive team or Palace is a defense team? These are just well drilled, structured coach team. And it's the same thing for us. Now, when you play 6 games, and mind you, you also have to look at the quality of the opponents that we've played. This is at the very top level. You're playing Champions League, you're playing Premier Leagues. 6 games, 6 wins, no goals conceded whatsoever. I think the credit goes out to the team, the manager, the coaching staff, no one else. It's a good record. But to come back to the point, because you mentioned the narratives out there, people saying it's Arsenal's to lose. How is it mine to lose when I never had it? Like, how do I lose something I don't have? Right? If you come out and say it's Arsenal's to win, then I'll say, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from. It's Arsenal's to win. But to say it's mine to lose, I can't lose what I don't have. And then again, we're still in October. We're about to get into November. It's still very early. When Arsenal were 5 points behind Liverpool, I said the same thing. I'm like, it is still too early. We've watched the Premier League for way too long. Even us as Arsenal fans, we've been here before. We've started the season very well and so had a thing. Why do people call Arsenal bottle jobs? Why did they keep saying, oh, don't worry, we'll wait till February, we'll wait till May? So if that's what it was, that's what it takes, then why don't we all wait and see? It's still too early. There's still a lot. We've not even played 10 games. So there's still a lot. Yeah, there's still a lot to play for. I love the position that we're in. I hope we keep keeping our heads down, focusing on the 3 points, and those are the most important things right now. Literally.
Yeah, I was saying I've never really understood those Arsenal to win, Arsenal to lose comments as well because the way I understand it, you have to have something to lose it to, right? So
Yeah.
if you're saying it from the defending champion standpoint, that the current champions, they're the ones that could potentially lose the title.
Yeah.
Sure, if you want to say that, yeah, but you don't win anything in October. And if you ask most people, what do you win in October? They'll tell you nothing. So if you don't win anything in October, how can you lose anything in October?
In
Right?
October.
It
Facts.
doesn't actually make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I do agree that, yes, there is a title to be won. And I think everything that the club has done, including the players who have brought in, our attitude to games this season, has clearly indicated that that is the goal, to try and win, a title. I think when I hear opposing fans and pundits and stuff have expectations, I'm like, you guys don't have more expectations of Arsenal than Arsenal fans.
Then
You
Arsenal
derive
fans.
absolutely
Facts.
nothing.
Yeah.
You derive absolutely nothing if we win. Don't act
Yeah.
like you'd be happy to see us win. We're ups for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we have expectations of ourselves to win, right? Um, no less than the ones that you guys have, perhaps even more. So I
Yeah.
never get that. There's nothing to lose in October. And I think what shocks me, or what's funny, is if you say it's Arsenal to win, are you implying that whoever was on top 5 games ago bottled the title? Like, I don't think that that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really bottle a title
You can't bottle it in exactly.
after
So
4 or 5 games, the same way you can't win it after 8 or 9 games. So I don't really know what to make of that. But yeah, we'll keep
I
going one
I
game at a time.
I think I look at it in also the angle of the outside noise trying to also apply pressure on Arsenal, right? Because one of the things that's or one of the sticks they've used to beat us now is that this Arsenal team don't have the mentality and all that, right? So I think also is a way for them to put pressure on the team and expect them to crack. And that's why I said I'm happy with that maturity I keep calling because I've noticed how we play games is so different this season. In the past, when we also played or went for the title, when we're beating the Crystal Palace, the Sheffields and all 5-6, West Ham and everything, that was because they allowed us to play our game. They created those space. Now those teams don't approach Arsenal the same way, right? We saw Man City come to the Emirates, scored a goal and literally sat back. Nobody allows us to play the game that we would like to play. So it's a much more difficult league to win now than it was for us 2-3 years ago, right? So I just look at it like people are just trying to put in the pressure. And again, like I said, it's October. So many things can happen from March, February. I don't start looking at the table to January. Like I said, after this next international break, there's a long span of games from November to March. This is where a lot of people and the table is going to start taking shape. So let's get past that part first. For now, focus on just getting your prerequisite points.
I agree. I don't know that I have too much to add on the Arsenal segment. Let's see. What are we missing? Yeah, I think we covered most of it. We didn't touch on Mikel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I just remember because he came out. Yeah, he was the one that actually made that statement of the Arsenals to lose. So what did you think about that clip? Because I don't know if I was the one that sent it to you. It was in one of our group chats.
I think it was in one of the group chats.
Yeah, it was in one of the group chats.
Yeah. Mikel Obi is a very interesting character. I don't take him seriously as a pundit, but I think before I even address him, I think it's important to acknowledge it's important to have ex-players in the game. I always find their takes refreshing. They've played the game, they understand the context of games. They understand what goes into competing, and for those that have won, what goes into winning. So you always want to hear from them, whether or not you like their take. Clearly, they played for certain clubs, and so there is the human bias that can come out. You see that with Gary Neville, you see that with Jamie Carragher. But for as much as I disagree with their takes, I can't question. I find it always difficult to question their insights, their analysis. I might disagree, but I think it's coming from a very well-intended place, or I don't know if it's well-intended, but the way they look at the game, you can see that there's something that they're trying to call out. So you just don't agree. With
Yeah.
Mikel Obi, I see absolutely nothing. It's unintelligent at times. It's like incoherent. I'm never really sure what he's getting at. I don't listen to him at all, actually. The only time I've listened to a Mikel Obi podcast was, I think he had Mourinho on, and I, of course, respect Mourinho, so I want to hear from the guest more than I want to hear from him.
Yeah.
So when the comment I turned on X or whatever they call it now, and I've seen this guy trending. I'm like, what is he saying this time? I go on our group chats and I see that he's talking about, it's Arsenal's to lose. I'm like, what is this brother on? I recall something was trending not too long ago where he was talking about Arsenal does not have the mentality to win and all of that stuff. So I actually like to play just so I can understand the context of the conversation.
Yeah.
And when I listen to it, I'm listening to all the analysis, which again, like I said, I don't think this guy actually ever offers any analysis. It sounds like the guy that you meet in the barber shop or the beer parlor.
That's my problem with Mikel.
There's nothing informative about what he's saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's still playing for Chelsea, right? Like there's
Exactly
nothing informative about what he's saying.
Exactly.
That's when he talks about, they have the biggest squad, they have the this, they have the that. I'm like, well, when you made the comment 2 weeks ago,
nothing changed.
All of those things were still present.
We're still there.
Is it results that is now biasing your analysis, or is your analysis foretelling what results could be? It clearly doesn't look like your analysis is focused on, is foretelling anything. It looks like you look at the table today and it influences what you're about to say, and tomorrow that can change. It's like, oh yeah, they have the biggest squad, they've spent the most money or spent whatever, they've been together for, I'm like, today is October, whatever it was. That was true at the close of transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
No new players have been signed. So what has changed in your view today? The guy is just not very intelligent. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, you literally the same point I was going to raise. Like when he gives his analysis, I've listened to a few of his podcasts. I don't think I'm yet to finish. I think I've listened to only 2 that I fully finished it, which was the Moreno's one and the one he did with the AFTV guy, Robbie. And I've seen a few, I've listened to another, and like you said, his analysis is based on as if he's still playing the game. And a lot of the times when I've heard him speak about Arsenal, he still talks about Arsenal like it's the same Arsenal he played while he was in Chelsea. Because you also need to remember that Chelsea that played Arsenal were the ones that used to bully Chelsea.
Bully the hell out of Arsenal.
Exactly. So every time he talks, that is where I see him coming from. Like Correct. He still feels it's still that same Arsenal that he's playing. And the reason I said that was also, there was one episode he was talking about after the Arsenal Newcastle game. He came out and he said Arsenal were being bullied in that game he said something about, if you watch the first 80 minutes of the game, and I was like, that there itself tells me that you are still looking at that team based on how you played that team, right? Because if there was one game this season, like I keep saying, that Arsenal played very well, and if Arsenal did not get a result on that game, it had nothing to do with Mikel Arteta. It was all on the players. And it was the Arsenal-Newcastle game. If you come out to say that Newcastle were bopping the Arsenal guys for 80 minutes in that game, again, when you hear the way he speaks, you can see like he has this tone, like he's still looking down on the team the same way when they play. So it was crazy because after the game, he came out and he said, people made statements about this is what champions do, and said, what champions? Arsenal. These are not the champions. And then a few weeks later, you're coming out to say, dares to lose. Brother, which one is it? Right? Another time I've seen him on Bean Sports when he was talking about Arsenal again. That Arsenal has spent so much money. When are they going to win the title? And the Bean lady literally threw it back at him and said, Chelsea has spent more than everybody in the Premier League. Do you know what his response was? They have no experience. They are too young. That was what came out to Mikel Obi's mouth. So when you look at those 2 things, I just look at it and I say, okay, yes, you're still speaking which, I mean, for someone that played for Chelsea, represented Chelsea, I understand that fact. But if you're coming out to the partner where you want to start analyzing teams and how you see it, you also need to look at it from a different view and everything. You need to look at it like, okay, these are the teams that are going for the title. This is what you notice. So is the reason why he was being dragged all over X that day, right? Because you can't make such comments and say, Arsenal are never going to win the title, and the next thing you're coming out and say is theirs to lose. What do you, like I said,
within
how is
weeks,
Yeah, weeks. How is this? How do you lose something that you never had?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing to see when you see this sort of players, because when I look across the landscape, I love what Henry is doing with CBS. I love what Micah Richards is doing, but I think it's clear that we
That's
need
my
more
guy.
representation.
Yeah.
We need a lot more representation, right? And I'm talking just like, minority pundits, people of minority, I should put it that way. And there's an opportunity there for someone like Mikel to really step in and offer some insights. But I think he just does a terrible job. Like, I don't learn
Yeah.
anything,
That's my problem. I don't get
like
for someone
I
that has
get
played the
zero.
game, I don't
Yeah,
get anything from you that makes me now think about things in another way and say, oh,
yeah,
okay, right? Like I don't get those things from you. All I get from you is like you're still suited up as a player against a rival. Like that is all I get from him every single
right.
time, right? So if I
And
can't
maybe
get,
that's fine. Maybe that's
and
okay
it's
if that's
fine,
the space you
exactly.
want to play
Yeah,
in,
if
but
that's the
we just
space you
can't
want to
take you
play,
serious,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But that, unfortunately for you, when you keep making those kind of statements, people are not going to take you seriously. Because if you go back to, remember when he had a back and forth with um, Jackson?
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
when he had a back and forth when he was comparing him to the likes of like Drogba and stuff like that? So if you look at it, it's like you still think this Chelsea is a Chelsea that you played in, right? And you're bringing Drogba, who is an African icon in itself and also an icon for a lot of Chelsea fans. And you're comparing him to this Jackson. Mind you, this is the same Chelsea that you have said is a very young and inexperienced team. So which one is it?
That's my point. That's
So
exactly my
yeah.
point with
So which
Mikel,
one is
right?
it? So you give us this analysis. Like nobody has come out to say he's the greatest striker or anything, right? But this is a guy who's coming to Chelsea and he's doing whatever it is that he can. And you're comparing him to the Drogba. And he's telling you not to compare him to the Drogba. Again, that's why I said Mikel still thinks that he still has the number 12 jersey on his back playing for Chelsea. He needs to figure it, he needs to bring himself out of that and say that you are now, quote unquote, a legend for Chelsea. And now you have put yourself in a platform where you are now analyzing games or analyzing players. So until he finds that people are not going to take him seriously, based on his takes. Yeah. But I found that a very, when I saw the video, I was just like, is Mikel Obi, if I expected anything more, then jokes on me.
Yeah, and I think that is my fear for him. I know like I care one way or the other whether it's successful podcast, but
Yeah.
if you're, I mentioned Micah and Henry, and I actually also forgot to throw in, Uncle Righty. But
Yeah,
if you want to go, in that kind of thing, yeah, we know who Micah Richards. Sometimes we don't know if he's a City fan or an Arsenal fan. We
yeah.
know Henry's an Arsenal fan. We know Gary Neville is a United fan. We
Everyone is
know
a fan of
Carragher
a
is a
club.
Liverpool. They
Exactly.
they have associations, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. For the most part, we're able to watch the game and see that you're calling it as objectively as you can,
As you
right?
can. Yeah.
We can disagree about that level of objectivity, but we
Mm-hmm.
can't question that there is the intent to be objective from their
Yeah.
perspective as much as they can with the
Yeah.
club bias.
Yeah.
With this other guy, I don't even see any kind of like objective
Nothing.
takes. It just seems
Yeah.
like you're talking to, your friend on WhatsApp, right? Like,
Yeah.
as a Chelsea fan that just will never
Yeah.
be rational, will never be objective about the take. It just, so yeah. Anyway, we're past the hour down, so let's jump into some predictions, or at least look ahead to the next round of games coming up. I'm going to pull up the games that we have this weekend. This weekend could actually be seismic, or it could shift things around in
You
the
could
league,
push things around
because
again. Yeah.
we have Burnley hosting Arsenal, one of the early kickoff games.
Yeah.
We have Nottingham Forest hosting United, so United can actually go further up in the table. And we have Spurs hosting Chelsea. Those are two teams that would want to be at the top end of the table. One of them or both of them would likely drop points. Liverpool hosting Villa, and on Sunday, City hosting Bournemouth. Let's start with
We're playing Bournemouth.
yeah. Perhaps we'll start there actually, because that one is going to be, it can move things around quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I will go for City in that game because I think Bournemouth are the kind of team that would definitely go at City. So they would open up and give Man City those spaces and
Opportunities, yeah.
channels for them to. And again, Haaland has been in a great form. So I think Man City take maximum points in that game. Yeah.
I want to agree with that, and I actually will end up predicting that when I'm submitting my. I think I already submitted Bata this week. The Bata predictions. I don't know if I chose that game, but it could be a tricky one for City too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything you said on the attacking end is correct,
That's
but
correct.
Bournemouth are really good
Yeah, very good.
offensively,
Yeah, they're very good.
and I think this year I picked the teams who have wide players that are dangerous over the teams
Yeah,
who have center forwards that are dangerous, because in the way the football is played these days, that's the space you're going to find.
it's becoming game for wingers all of a sudden
Yeah,
again. Yeah,
that's the space you're going to find. And when you
yeah.
have players like Semenyo and I forget what the other guys on the other side for Bournemouth, that could create a problem. I don't think City lose the game, but they likely don't win the game as well. The other really big game, the one that we're all going to be watching, is the Liverpool-Villa game, right? Just considering the context behind Liverpool's recent run of results.
Yeah,
Do you think they end this spell at Villa, at home to Villa?
I can't see it.
They're at home, they're Anfield.
I really can't see it. This is the thing with football, right? When you're on a very bad run, you're on a bad run. The most I can give them is a draw. If they get a win, it will be good for them. But Villa have in their picked up in their performances lately. And Unai Emery is also one of those managers that when he smells blood, he knows how to go for it. So I'll go for a draw in that game. But if Liverpool should lose that game, I wouldn't be shocked.
I think I'm gonna go for a sneaky Villa win just for the fun of it, just so we can have
Because
more
just looking
more
at
things to
all
talk
their
about.
results, I don't think Liverpool find a win till after the next international.
Yeah, because they play Real Madrid next,
They
and
play
then
Real
they
Madrid and
play
City back. So
City to go into the break. Oh my God,
I don't think Villa is the right team
that's
for
a
them
tough
this
stretch.
week. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think Villa
that's a
is the
really
team
tough
for them
stretch.
this week. Yeah. But would say.
I'm going with a Villa win at Anfield.
Okay.
Spurs at home to Chelsea.
This game is very confusing for various reasons. Frank has them good defensively. Chelsea suck defensive. Spurs, attacking wise, nothing to go right home about. Same thing for Chelsea, in my opinion. Nothing to write home
Chelsea are one
about.
of the top scorers in the league, bro.
Yeah, they are. But go look at where they got most of those their goals from, right? And mind you,
Actually, sorry to cut you. Both of these teams are top scorers in the league.
yeah, really, Spurs too.
Yeah,
Wow, never have guessed.
three
I'll never have
team tie.
guessed.
Chelsea, Spurs, and City, 17 goals
Wow, I'll
each.
never have guessed for Spurs. I want to give Spurs the edge here because of the manager in Frank. Because I think there's a game I can see him playing a back three to accommodate Chelsea. I can see him playing it. But the only problem I have with giving this game to Spurs is they are home. They've had a bad run of form at home. What Chelsea is going to turn up, I have no idea. I literally have no idea. So I really don't know where to swing. Like where this game goes, I don't know. Chelsea usually wins this game a lot of the time. And if I was going to lean towards anywhere, I think I might lean towards Chelsea just because of the history. Spurs is at home. But Thomas Frank is the one that is making the Spurs, he's giving Spurs that argument as well. So I really don't know where to lean towards in terms of this game. I have no clue, to be honest.
I don't know. Same thing. It's funny because you look at the table and Spurs are,
Where are they on the
ahead.
table?
Well, they're third, 17 points, 3 points ahead of Chelsea. So it's not that big of a gap. But it suggests that they're the better team right now. I almost want to lean for a Spurs victory because Chelsea are just missing. I don't know if Caicedo is playing.
I think he
it
should be
fit?
fine. I think so.
Palmer is obviously out for an extended period of time. I don't believe in
Spurs
anything that the wingers
Spurs
have.
defense. Yeah, Spurs defense I know can take care of this Chelsea attack.
That's the problem.
That I know.
And so then I have to choose between Kudus the wide players for Spurs and Neto and Garnacho. And as you know, I don't believe in any of these guys. So I actually think Spurs wins this one. I think Spurs wins this one.
Like I
Let's
said, the only
go.
thing I have against Spurs is them being at home. So I think
Yeah, but at some point that has to work in your favor now.
hopefully.
Yeah, at some point it
Yeah.
has to work. Let's two games that are interesting here. One is ours, Arsenal away to Burnley. Thoughts on that game and expectations?
I think Burnley might be a little open in this game. I've watched a few of their games too. Saka likes to play the ball on the floor, which would favor the likes of Anslot. But I think we might have a couple goals in this game. Except Burnley does what everybody has been doing and they just sit back, which I'm not expecting them to do. Because I remember I watched them against Man City at Etihad. They literally tried their best to go at Man City. So I'm expecting them to do the same. So I would expect a couple more goals than we've seen. I know I'm going to go for a crazy high score for this one, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll go for a crazy high score, like a 4-5.
I see the complete opposite, man. I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be tricky. I think
yeah.
it's gonna be like a 2-0 win. I don't think they would be naive enough to play what you're suggesting. I actually watched Skip Parker's interview or pre-match
Yeah, I saw the stuff we talked
thing.
about, the set pieces and all. Yeah,
And then I think he had mentioned that he wants to be as uncomfortable for Arsenal as possible. So if I'm taking that into account, I cannot imagine that you would think that the best way to make Arsenal uncomfortable is to press Arsenal very high
surprise
up.
Arsenal. Yeah,
I think you're going to see double ups on Saka and likely Trossard, who gets the nod on the other
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Right. I just don't see them being like open. I think we're going to have to be really efficient. The first goal, if and when we do get it, should open up the game. I don't think we're really a team that pushes for 3 or 4. If it's there, we'll take it. But I
Because
think, like I
they're not
mentioned,
giving us the chances, bro.
yeah,
They are
I
literally
think
are not.
we're also not forcing the issue when we're in those positions, right? Because we don't want you to have anything. So it actually I've talked about, well, not me, Arteta has talked about death by 1,000 passes in the
Yeah,
past. That's clearly his MO,
yeah,
just kind of keep the ball. So if we get a goal up, I think that's what you're going to see, and maybe that loosens things up. I don't see it 4-5,
yeah,
against Burnley. But we'll see. This game is tomorrow. We'll find out.
yeah,
The last one that is interesting here, and is interesting for very different reasons. United, they've won 3 on the bounce now. We were talking about how they hadn't won 2 in a row. Now they're looking at a very strong likelihood of actually winning a 4th game in a row against a team that is in the bottom of the table.
yeah.
If they win that game, it takes them into 19 points. They could potentially end up this weekend in 2nd place if every other result goes well for them.
Interesting.
That is quite the turnaround. So how do you see that game coming together?
This one, I'm just gonna come out and say the truth. I'm coming here with a haters vibe, man. Like, so I'm gonna go with Forest for this one. Do I have any reason for it? Nope. I'll just tell you, this one is pure. Like I said, this is just pure hate. That's what I'm going with for this one. I think Forest, Sean Dyche, they are going to figure something and get like a weird 1-0 or something. I remember the comments that Sean Dyche made when he wasn't a manager, when he said he would have won more games if he was in Ruben Amorim's place. So it's going to be a spicy game, but yeah, I'm
I
going with
like how
Forest with this one
Amarim
as pure
responded to
hate.
that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going
They asked,
pure.
they
This
asked,
one,
did he,
hate wins here. I won't lie. I think Manu will win, but I'm going with Forest.
I was saying that they had actually asked Amarim about those comments. For the first
Really?
time, I like how he handled that
What did you
question.
say?
I think he mentioned something about, when you're a pundit and when you're a coach, your countenance or your responses are very different. That nobody wants to listen to someone that doesn't have something. I'm paraphrasing here, but something spicy to say, basically, right? So I think it took the high road, but I'm sure that's bulletin material for sure in the United dressing room. And for those reasons, I think they win the game because one, they're the better team right now on the form that they are. Forest, I think they've not quite gotten their act together. I think we'll see more of Sean Dyche's philosophy or DNA after the international break once he's had some time to kind of spend more time with the team. But a week or two into his appointment against a United team that three of the bounce are figuring themselves out or look like they figured themselves out, I think might be coming a game too soon for him. So I think United win.
Yeah, very fair. Like I said, I have no analysis.
Yeah, just
this
hate,
is
right?
pure hate. So my United guys, it is what it is. This is pure hate, man. Nothing for you guys this week. And if you guys get something, you can blast me for it, no problem. But up the Forest. I'm not used to this, their happiness these days. So let's cut it short, bro.
I'm not going to go through the entire list of Champions League games, but I am going to go through two fixtures that impact us here on the lounge. One is the Arsenal game. I think we are going away to
Slavia Prague.
Slavia Prague.
Yeah, Slavia Prague.
I didn't want to spend time talking about that game, but you can give your thoughts. The game I really wanted to focus on was the Liverpool-Real Madrid game. So you can go into Slavia Prague and
Slavia Prague. I don't know much about them, so I'll just go based on what I know about my team and say we should go there away. I think this is one of those 3 points that we would need. So we'll have 4 on a bounce. 50% of our games are already done. 100% record. I think that's very important because I think we still have the likes of Inter Milan and Bayern Munich to come. So an important 3 points in this game, 4 out of 8. I think we just go get that. The Liverpool Real Madrid, man, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I do not see how Real Madrid win this. Sorry, how Liverpool win this game. I really do not see it. Because remember what you said about the wingers. They have the wingers to tear the likes of Bradley, Kekes, Robertson, Frimpong is injured. So Basler had better play right back in that game. He had better play right back in that game. So I think Real Madrid take down. But definitely that's the game I'm sure we're all going to be glued to our TV for that game. So I'll definitely go with Real Madrid for that one. I don't even know if Trent is back. I think he is. So yeah, I'll go with Real Madrid for that one.
Same on this side. I'm definitely going Real Madrid. For me, I know Dembele won the Ballon d'Or, and rightfully so, just given the season that him and his team had. But I don't think there's a better player in the world right now than Kylian Mbappe. That's just my own personal view, right?
Like every food they give to him is eating it.
Bro, so I'm really curious to see how they try and handle that
exactly.
Given the defense that they've had. I think Mbappe is just playing lights out right now. And they now have a coach, right? They now have a very good manager in Xavi Alonso. Last year, I said I wanted to play Real Madrid instead of Atletico. I don't want to play Real Madrid right now because it's looking like he's figuring out how to balance the tactical awareness of the team maximizing the output of the individual players as well. That's something you really don't want to see. So I'd like to see how Liverpool handle that challenge on Tuesday. I think it is.
Good luck. Good luck to them, man.
Yeah, it should make for fun viewing. So we'll be there.
Good luck to them.
All right, my bro. I think that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Lots of fun conversations as usual. We'll be glued. I'm sure we'll be on our phones again tomorrow morning.
Definitely.
And then we'll chat more Sunday.
All right. Have a great weekend, my bro.
You too.
All right. Take it easy.